Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Kyle Mandel. I'm one of the advisors here at C3, based at Chicagoland, and it's been great to hang out with you all and enjoy the day. Hopefully we can power through the afternoon, and we look forward to the final keynote this afternoon. I'm excited to welcome you to today's session, titled The Next Era of Connectivity for the Distributed Enterprise. It's presented by Comcast, one of our head sponsors here. We're grateful for them being here. And we're going to explore how the next generation of connectivity from broadband, DIA, SD-WAN is powering agility, performance, and security for today's distributed enterprise. So we got Todd and Mike from Comcast here. They'll share how modern network architectures are evolving to meet the needs of hybrid work, digital transformation, and resilient infrastructure here. So lots of buzzwords. We'll probably get into the nitty-gritty of that here, and I'll pass it on to the Comcast folks.
Thanks, Colin.
There you go. Todd Draper, Director of Solution Architecture. Been at Comcast since 2020. Thank you very much for having me. Formerly used to work under Mike. Now we roll up to Joe Austin and his group, and Mike.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Mike Murphy, Director of Solution Architecture. Been with Comcast Business for about 8 years. Primarily what we do is just work with customers globally to figure out what their advanced solutions needs are, as well as, not only SD-WAN, cloud, connectivity, hybrid workloads, as well as managed takeovers, which is another big area for us that's kind of blooming lately.
Next slide. Just a quick agenda on today. So we'll look at, and we won't do death by PowerPoint and reading either, but aligning connectivity, emerging SD-WAN capabilities and strategic frameworks, and kind of when to understand to have one provider or multiple providers. To give an idea, Mike and I support quite a few different verticals. The majority of our time, I'd say, we spend in the enterprise level. Our largest customer is usually 35K and up billing, but we do cross over into other areas. So we've got a large footprint into CBG, or formerly known as Masergy, Nitel, mid-market, so even down to small business if needed. So Mike and I cover a lot as far as that's concerned within the organization. Really on this side of the house, again, mostly on the larger deals, we want to be very vendor agnostic. We want to find out what the solution is. We want to take our time, and it's actually called custom enterprise solutions. So every deal we do and design, we're working directly with the vendors. We're working with Fortinet. We're working with Cisco, and we're negotiating those deals on an individual basis as well. So if we need to walk into a meeting hand in hand with a Fortinet or a Cisco on that first meeting, that's easy to do for us. We could have some of their leadership on that just to show the power that we have between the two organizations, or multiple other organizations besides those two.
We threw this in. This is a great slide. This just shows the breadth of where we're at today. When we first started out many years ago, Fortinet was our top contributor. Meraki was another one of our top contributors and partners. But this is where we stand today. Just from a Meraki perspective, these are the numbers for us for management of Meraki devices. So when you talk about Meraki devices globally, right, they have millions of devices out there. Many enterprises, small businesses, medium businesses are using those today. But these are the numbers for what we are managing with Meraki and customers today. Again, another one of our bigger things that we're seeing right now, especially probably, I'd say, in my opinion, probably over the past 8 months, we're partnering with Cisco and more because they have many customers that are like, hey, we have Meraki today. We don't want to manage it anymore. We don't want to take care of the care and feeding. We want you to do that for us. We also see it with Fortinet. We see it with a couple other vendors, but again, the vast majority that we see is with Meraki and Fortinet. These numbers are great because it just shows you the breadth of what we have. Over on the left, to your left, you can see the different verticals. Quick serve is one of our bigger verticals for us today. We've probably got about I'd say 10 out of the top 12 players in the quick serve market today. When you talk about Chick-fil-A or some of those other name brands, those are some of the great name brands that we partner with. Not only do we partner with them just on managing it for them, we could do managed takeovers for them, we do truck rolls for them, same day and next day maintenance. But another thing is, as we partner with these bigger providers, we really look at where is the customer going next, right? Many customers are saying, hey, I want cameras. I want the cameras for the analytics that are within the cameras. I want Wi-Fi because I want to do my own heat maps. I just got done talking to a couple customers on Monday that are in the, they're not even in the quick serve space. They're more in the space of they have facilities where kids go in, have fun, jump houses and things like that. They want to know, hey, where are my customers at inside of those facilities, right? In past years, they would have to go, hey, I've got to do a heat map, or I've got to do a walkthrough heat map, or some of those other things, right? With the new technology that's out there today, they weren't even aware, hey, you can do that with the Meraki gear you have today, right? You can do a heat map, you can see where people are standing, what APs they're using, where the dead spots are and things like that. Because the key to them is they want to know, where do I get more coverage? How do I get customers spending more money? How do I get my customers using the app because I can't get a cell signal within my facility? So that's why we brought this slide up, and we just wanted to kind of show the breadth of that.
This side too, not going to spend too much time on it, but I do want to highlight, obviously, when you think Comcast, a lot of people think it's just circuits, but it's obviously more than that. It's the whole ecosystem that we have from Universal Studios, NBC, but that also allows us to dip into some of these other areas. Have a deal down in Florida, about $150K, and when the customer signed, what we did just as a little nice bonus is we gave every single one of their employees a $50 gift card to be able to go to the movie theaters. So little tiny things like that you could do for a customer, and having such a large footprint in this large ecosystem, just cool little add-ons before we kind of get into the rest of it here.
Let me add real quick to that, Todd. Another big one in on the ecosystem is we talk to customers all the time about what that ecosystem looks like. Another big customer we're partnering with is a very large doggy daycare organization, right? Well, when you think about them, they're just in and out. I'm taking my dog, I use them myself, dropping my dog off, and I'm getting out. They wanted to start talking about what are the other things that we can do, right? Just think about that, right? If I'm that customer and I'm talking to Comcast, in the past I'm thinking about underlay, I'm thinking about circuits, right? What is the digital signage that we can partner with? When you talk about movies that are coming out, what if we could insert something about your name brand into our movies and then vice versa, right? How can we insert some of our organization, some of our marketing into yours as well? So how can we cross-pollinate? How can we work together? So that's another great slide to just think about things outside the box.
These are a newer version that we're starting to do lately to help customers conceptualize kind of everything that goes on in the environment, what services we can provide. We'll do breakdowns like this for quick serve restaurants, for example, retail spaces, but it's really to have that larger focus on, hey, we're not just trying as a customer to, fill this one little void. What else do you have to fill that void? What do we, or what haven't we thought of quite yet there as well? And when you start looking into things, it's obviously your SD-WAN, your SASE, which is the buzzword we keep talking about this whole week, DDoS mitigation, all the way down to the end user, so your endpoint detection and protect actually the employees' individual laptops, or tying that into a ZTNA environment within SASE so they can safely access those environments. And then you also tie it in with their remote workers, your unified communications, your UTM, and your advanced security. But these are a nice floor plan just to kind of look at things, how it's set up, and how to conceptualize and visualize everything going on within an organization. So network as a service, I like this slide a lot too because, again, more than just circuits, right? What does that circuit go into? You should always be asking your customer, what are you patching into? And then you want to dig a little deeper. What are we going into within the network? Because it's more than just SD-WAN now. It's grabbing those switches. It's grabbing those access points. It's the cameras, gateways, cloud, portal visibility. Surprising enough, probably one of the largest needs customers still say today, and I still don't get it out there, is they have a bad portal experience. They're not getting analytics. They're not getting good reporting. And you see it probably 75% of the time that they're coming to us because they're not getting this, even though all these other organizations say they do have a portal environment or they do have analytics or do have reporting. As a customer, you really want to dig into what those are. You want to make sure you are getting a portal demo. You are seeing what the analytics are. You are seeing what those reporting capabilities are, because those can easily be covered up by a quick few minutes, a quick few screenshots of that. So definitely make sure you see what you're actually getting as far as reporting capabilities. And then also, to Mike's point, cameras being the big thing coming out here as well.
Another quick point to that is a lot of people really don't. We'd love to use this slide when we're having customer kickoffs, even EBCs, and having discussions. These watt boxes, right? In the past, we didn't sell a lot of watt box. If you're not familiar with the watt box, really it's a box sitting there. We put an out-of-band circuit of some type in there, and it gives us the ability to power cycle different devices. Now, for most of our customers today, they're using managed broadband or some type of broadband, right? Because of the price point. When you talk about broadband, the number one pain point with broadband is it loses sync or something occurs, something happens, somebody has to go back and cycle that box, right? So when you're talking about downtime in somebody like in a quick serve retail space, that's key to them. In the past, no matter who was managing that or if a branch was managing it themselves, they would just see, hey, I've got a red light on my managed broadband. I've got to take a person, I've got to reboot that thing, I've got to do whatever. In today's model, we can take watt boxes for very, very cheap in an OpEx model, put those at a site. We know that we have an issue with watt boxes, with the broadband. We're able to go in real time. Our operations teams can say, hey, I can reboot those. Some of the statistics that we're getting out of this is sometimes up to 78% of a quick serve franchise model is something's wrong with my broadband. Right? Well, if you take that across 3,800 sites and you look at 7,800 sites, right? Sometimes during the course of a day, they'll have 20 sites go down. They'll have 38 sites go down. And the main cause of that is managed broadband. So if we can take that, put this box in for very cheap on the OpEx model, reboot those, primarily that managed broadband, get them back up and working quickly, that's things that a lot of these customers are just not thinking about. So we love to use this slide. Yes, sir.
The out-of-band on that, so if you had a single broadband connection,
Yes.
what would be the out-of-band? Would traditionally that be a wireless connection, perhaps?
Yeah, sometimes we put LTE cradle point on it. Just depends on the circumstance. If it's a customer that, especially in the quick serve vertical, right? They want to go cheap on the underlays, but they're willing to spend a little bit more money on some other things that are quick hits to keep that franchise up and running. Chick-fil-A is probably our biggest one, like just using that as an example. Right? Chick-fil-A said, hey, let's take cradle point devices, use LTE as a backup method to get to these watt boxes, and we can just keep them running in a much, more seamless fashion, especially around holidays and things like that.
And then the multiple power plugs back there,
Yes.
Can I assume that it's segmented so that you can only reboot 5 but not 1 through 4?
Correct. You can individually reboot them, do whatever you want to do. Right.
Very cool.
Absolutely. And they make tons of different models, right? There's a 6-port, there's a 4-port, there's a 12-port, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do they auto power cycle if it notices that the internet is down?
Yes, they do. Actually, they do have some intelligence built in. We actually have a meeting with them, I think it's in 3 weeks, where they're starting to put some analytics in their dashboard. So you can create some templates to say, hey, if I see something going on, I can do X, Y, Z. I can alert you via the portal. You can do that today, but I think, probably in the next 6 to 8 months from what we're seeing from some of these vendors like Wabox, there's some really cool things you'll be able to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for example, we had a store, Potbelly. They had a store in Miami, went down on a Friday. All they needed to do was physically reboot the modem. And they were just terrified of doing it. They didn't have anybody in the office to do it. $8,000 a day loss until Monday because you have the next day maintenance, right? Next day, over a weekend, becomes Monday real quick. If you had this for $15, spread over your stores, and think of that cost savings. And not only to the customer, but it's also saving us a truck roll, saving us that time to coordinate. So it's a win-win. And it's even getting to the point where we just start writing it as a given into a deal when we're first mocking it out and drawing it and saying, hey, you know what, this is included in here. If you don't want it, we can remove it. But in that instance of just rebooting a box and saving that money, yeah. Any more questions on that or network as a service? So SD-WAN, I guess I'll speak to this a little bit, like you might not know SD-WAN or need to know a little bit more about it, but let's start with things we could do as far as capabilities. We all know the normal rental model, that we could do a monthly rental OpEx. We could also do a CapEx. So if you actually want to come in, buy the hardware outright, also we could broker the licensing. So if you want to own that Meraki hardware, if you want to own that Meraki license, we'll then spin it up for you. We could do co-management, we could do fully managed on that as well. And then probably the number one thing where we've seen an uptick in conversations is takeover as a service. So that customer that does already own their Fortinet gear, their Meraki gear, they own that licensing, but they don't want to be with that provider anymore. We can swing that gear over to us, run all the updates for them, swing it over to the cloud managers that they might be in, Fortinet Manager, Fortinet Analyzer, or up to the Cisco. Surprisingly, it's an easy migration to do as well. And this was a conversation maybe a customer would bring up once every 6 months. I'm having these conversations now on a weekly basis, a fully managed takeover. It was one of our largest channel deals earlier in the year, was a fully managed takeover for a retail company. It's about $180K just on the managed takeover portion and new circuits. So again, really great margins on that. It's easy, customers love it, and that overcomes the hurdle of them owning the equipment but not knowing what to do with it. Any questions on that portion? Because I think it's something that we've missed a lot of years and missed a lot of opportunities of business for that. All right. Now, as far as our bread and butter is definitely Meraki and Fortinet. That's what we excel the best at. The difference in the ES side of the house, and Comcast, there's different, again, there's CBG side, Masergy, Nitel. So I'm going to speak to the custom enterprise solution side. We can also give you untethered access directly to this hardware. So a lot of times you might have organizations that have an SD-WAN product that's powered by Meraki or powered by Versa or powered by Fortinet. We'll actually give you a direct link into this hardware. So if you go into our portal, there'll be a hyperlink there. You could go directly into the Meraki and control that management in there too. So you give that customer a real end-to-end experience with that hardware, or Fortinet Manager, Fortinet Analyzer. Cisco CAT, formerly known as Cisco Viptela. That's intended a little bit more for that customer that they're probably Cisco lifers there, right? They've always had Cisco products. You just want to be a little careful on selling Cisco CAT to somebody who's never done it before. Maybe they come from a Fortinet environment. You really want to make sure that's for that specific customer. And then, of course, we've got Versa in there. Aruba, we're just bringing in the playbook right now. Additionally, other things, we're working on bringing Palo in. We're pretty close to bringing Palo in as a full stack in our custom enterprise solutions. And then the suite of Cradlepoint products. Any questions on SD-WAN, what we could do with SD-WAN? Yes.
So you have these vendors up here. What decides which vendor you would use? Is it do customers have a preference sometimes, or is it just based on the area? Or I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's pretty dynamic. My opinion is most customers do have a pretty hard preference, or they've got some type of infrastructure stood up, right, where they're familiar with it, they know what it is, they know what it does. One of the other things we try to do is really sit down with them and say, hey, not only where are you at today, but where are you going, right? So my opinion is, like, if the customer's going long-term towards cameras, wants some analytics out of cameras, wants some analytics out of APs, right, Meraki's probably your way to go. If you're more security conscious, you're really looking at ZTNA, CASB, and some other things, my personal preference would be go to the Fortinet route, right? But again, I'd say most of the customers we talk to have a very, very, very strong preference, yeah, just based on past history or what they've used in the past.
But if they don't get with C3, we'll help you find one too. They helped us find one.
Why isn't Cato up here?
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering that myself. Really close on Cato. Yeah, Cato's probably the next one over Palo even.
Just a quick question. How many times do you have Cato conversations in a week today with your customers?
And is it just that you find the speed that they're able to get it turned over? Is that really what the highlight is on Cato?
Cato's got sex appeal.
Yeah.
They're different. They disrupted the space. And not a lot of large carriers like Comcast have entertained bringing them into the stack. One of the biggest challenges we have is the managed wrapper around Cato.
Mm-hmm.
Very well, and under what I define to be a strong partnership. And I think we've been waiting for a while, and I think the Comcasts of the world are finally picking up on that and bringing it under the fold.
Yeah, Cato will have it pretty close here. We're gonna just roll it out in indirect channel first, so you guys will have access to that before anybody else. Any other questions, SD-WAN? So, obviously not going to talk about everything on this slide. It's a busy slide there, but the point of this is kind of when do you have a single provider versus when do you dip into other areas, right? Now, I think the trend recently is definitely to have as much of the bulk with a single provider, to where before it might have been broken up a little bit more. Maybe you had somebody managing your circuits. Maybe somebody was managing your SD-WAN. Maybe somebody was doing your switches. You've got multiple different providers where really the goal is to have that one source now, that one hand to shake, one bill. So then you start looking at it holistically. Well, what can we do here? What can we add on here? What would a customer need here? What's going to be their next vision? So when you just walk through, obviously, the connectivity, the Wi-Fi, the analytics, routing, security, SD-WAN, managed voice, managed switch, professional services. Maintenance is also a game changer for us as well, because now instead of just doing a next business day maintenance, we could also do same day nights and weekends, same day nights, weekends, holidays. We'll actually depot your hardware around the country with a goal to get it back to you within, or get you up in about 4 to 6 hours. And you combine that with something like a Watt box, and then all of a sudden you're at almost zero downtime in a day, to where before you might have to wait a whole business day to get up and back and running. There's even a lot of things on here that I don't even show you, but probably another game changer that we're seeing to a trend is with monitoring. And with monitoring, I think everybody's pretty used to a circuit goes down, your hardware goes down, you get a auto-generated ticket sent to you in 15 minutes, right? But you're always looking for that customer to respond back. This is another add-on that we'll do. It's just proactive monitoring. It's just for a few more dollars. But what we're essentially doing is we see that circuit go down, we see that SD-WAN box go down, we start troubleshooting right away. We still shoot you a notification, a ticket, but instead of looking at response back, we reach out and say, hey, we're seeing an issue here. We're working on it. We're going to look for a truck roll tomorrow or later in the day. Another huge game changer there when you start thinking about companies and organizations that have hundreds and hundreds of sites and enough to keep up with those auto-generated emails. That proactive management and monitoring is just a huge game changer.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think, especially in today's world, many customers are just looking for a single source. I mean, even if you talk about we were talking to a franchise owner of gas stations, right? Even if I'm a owner of 5 gas stations, right? Each one of those gas stations, I've got to get connectivity, I've got to get Wi-Fi, I've got smart, pumps out there now. I've got all these things that I've got to take care of. In today's model, I have to go to different vendors for all those things. I'm getting different bills, right? So really you want to look at what is a single source? How do I get this exact framework, a full solution portfolio from some entity and not have to do all these single site things, right? That's really the goal. That's our goal going forward, right? If you talk about a branch in a box or a site in a box or a gas station in a box or a quick serve restaurant in a box, right? How do I meet all the criteria for them? We also have IoT. It's not really on here and it's not really talked about a lot. But we have another IoT solution. We're working with Whataburger, right? I think everybody's familiar with Whataburger. One of their biggest things was, I need IoT sensors. Well, if you think about IoT sensors, what they have to do is every county, city, state has different regulations, right? In today's model, they have to go out, they have a log book that they have to go into. The manager has to do that and say, hey, you know, this cooler is at X temperature, or this is at that temperature, this is at that temperature. If I can take an IoT sensor from a vendor, single source vendor, put it into this other framework, and I can see it in my portal today, and then I can run a report every month to meet whatever criteria I need, right? I've just checked off 15 different boxes where in the past, right, I had manual intervention, I had spreadsheets, I had different vendors for circuits, I had different vendors for an SD-WAN solution, I had another vendor that was providing me APs. And again, even if you're 5 sites or 15 sites or 15,000 sites, it's really the same thing, right? How do I get away from that model? How do I have someone else help me with that? And how do I automate it, you know, kind of moving forward?
Yeah, and also when we say single source too, it's all about those partnerships, because when you look at these larger companies, and we do walk in with a C3 and a Fortinet, and it just shows the customer how powerful that experience can be from having all 3 of those, knowing all 3 are there to help, and then you have the trusted advisor there too as well. It's just such a game changer on these larger customers, and it's just very important to be able to provide them everything from that single source. So.
And educating them as well. I mean, many customers, I'd say probably 80% of the customers we walk into, say they're using Meraki or Fortinet, they don't even know what they can use today, right? What are your pain points and what are your problems? And what are some of the tools that are built into that today that you can either enhance, add something small on to meet some kind of goal, or something else that may be coming in the future. So that's another huge discussion point that we like to bring up when you talk about a framework.
Yeah, and also the future framework too. I think next year we're going to be talking a lot about edge compute, and that's going to start to come more in the conversation. We're going to start to have those initial conversations on that, and hopefully be rolling that out sooner than later as well. Yeah. All right. Any questions? Okay, so thank you very much.